Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hey everyone, checking back in for the weekend. We'll do Canadian MJ videos here. Certainly missed you all. Finally got some internet back, doing today's analysis from an empty tub. And we're going to look at Canada, and then tomorrow we'll do the US names. So today the S&P 500 had a significant bounce, one of the more bullish days since we had the falling out between the trade deal between China and the US. So the question is, can this bounce follow through? And what we were looking for is the market pricing in the lack of a deal going through in the near-term future. And once that happens, we'll see if the market can recover and make its way back up to recent highs. Today, the S&P 500 closed, it's only ever closed higher than today 20 times in its history. So CGC, we still have this pattern. Every single day is a lower high. This is now 8 days in a row. Clearly, that pattern has to shift for the bulls to change momentum. We are looking at a bullish reversal candlestick with solid volume today. We are seeing the bulls defend the $47 level. And looking at it on the weekly time frame, we're just looking for a weekly higher low to form compared to the low of 39.66. Here's our healthy weekly consolidation. If the S&P 500 can recover from here, again, I cannot stress enough, and I know I say it all the time, I cannot stress enough how important what the S&P 500 does from here as far as what to expect this summer for the MJ sector, both US and Canadian. So if we see SPY recover and see a daily bounce and get back towards that all-time high, I would expect CGC to very quickly be back up towards $50. But again, we have to see SPY follow through, and we have to see the market say, okay, we've priced this in now, and the bulls are ready to resume the uptrends on the weekly time frame. Just like CGC is looking for a healthy weekly higher low, so is the S&P 500. So first things first, on Monday, we have to break 47.51, and then to find resistance levels, it's just the previous high of every single day. That's a resistance level that we can look at each time we go back. So looking at CGC on the hourly chart, we did not form an hourly high or low today. We had the high of the day, low of the day, a double top at the high of the day into the close, and we will still need an hourly higher low and higher high on Monday or early next week to confirm the hourly trend has changed. So we still need some proving it from the bulls, and SPY did the exact same thing. SPY was all bull. We don't have an hourly higher low and higher high on SPY just yet. It's something we're keeping an eye out for. So CRON, I had a trade made with lack of internet and a swing trade entry in CRON. And to just go over what I was talking about, I posted this last night before today and right after the market closed yesterday, just in terms of an example of what a trade game plan is. So feel free to pause the video right now and read this. I'm not going to read this out note for note, or word for word, I should say. But this is what my trade game plan was. And so we saw strength this morning. I didn't get any of the entries where I was looking to scale into lower lows, and I had a position. The position that I entered yesterday, right at the end of the day, and when I mean right at the end of the day, I mean my internet was so slow that I was literally counting the seconds as I had about 100 seconds left in the day before I could place my market order to enter, and I got it off with about 25 seconds to spare. But the bottom line is I had that position, and its size is more considerable for CRON because I'm way more comfortable in the liquidity and the dollar volume traded on CRON and CGC than I am on USMJ. So my first of 3 potential entries on CRON was as big as any USMJ position holdings that I ever have are. So I was planning on scaling in more, but we didn't get that. We got a very solid bounce, sold half. And again, I was saying the ideal scenario is market prices in the bearish reaction to CRON earnings, just as SPY prices in the bearish reaction to no trade deal. That would mean a bounce in both at the same time, and that would be exactly what we're looking for. So what we were looking for on CRON is the longest term time frame. This is the first thing when I looked at CRON and said, wow, we're dumping on the daily. We have daily oversold RSI. I look at this monthly chart, and I imagine if this were any time frame, you show me this chart, that's a very bullish chart. We've been bouncing off the 12-period exponential support the entirety of its history, essentially, and we are looking at very low bear volume consolidation after very high bull volume breakout, multiple weeks of consolidation, exponential support is right here. I want to look for a monthly higher low to form, and I want to scale into daily oversold conditions to do it. Just like I say, we scale into hourly oversold conditions to look for a daily higher low. Scaling into daily oversold conditions looking for a monthly higher low or a weekly higher low is a very similar strategy, just different time frames. So I made my entry. With today's action, I sold on a bull break. We got a bull break of 14.49, which was a double top with pre-market. I sold on the initial bull break half of my position, and that makes me comfortable to swing this second half of that entry for as long as I want. Put a stop at break even. I can put my stop under 13.90, the lowest price that we hit on CRON, and still be profitable if I get it stopped out. So that's the ideal scenario to establish a trade game plan, lock in some profit that allows you to lower your break-even point, and then put your stop loss at break-even and hope that that is our monthly high or low. Because if that is our monthly high or low, the current position that I hold on CRON is going to be very profitable over the next month. The odds that it is our monthly high or low are not that high. We have a lot of proving that the bulls have to do. We changed the hourly trend today for the bulls with a higher low and higher high. Our new hourly support is 14.43. So a beautiful follow through, strong move into the end of the day. 16.15 is the next most important resistance level. But in order to be confident that the monthly high or low has been set, we need to change the daily trend and we need to change the weekly trend. And that's not happening in the immediate near future. 17.67 is the most important resistance on the daily chart from here. But the point is, I'm now very comfortable in a position that I can ride for a while risk-free and see if these bulls can give us this monthly high or low that we're keeping an eye out for. And of course, what the S&P 500 is doing will have a significant impact on my trade game plan going forward for CRON. If we were to start extremely strong Monday morning and see a bull move into the upper $15 range, I would likely scale out a little bit more and then look to reload on hourly consolidation. It's the same kind of short-term swing strategy that I did on Curaleaf and IAN, where I flip to lower what my cost basis can be, and I look to reload on consolidation after selling into strength. So CRON is now very interesting to me, and I'm going to hold this position for the foreseeable future, and I'll update as we continue into next week. But CRON on the daily time frame, we need to see a bull move. If we can't break 17.67, we have to come down, hold 13.90, and then see continuation. And again, the reasons for my entry, the monthly time frame, the 4-hour RSI was crushed. As you can see, one of our members, Andrew, was pointing out the 4-hour RSI reaching historically low levels where it's bounced in the past. Hourly RSI was oversold. Daily RSI was oversold. So that's when I'm very comfortable to begin scaling in. Only one order of potentially 3 got filled. That's fine with me. It's still profit. Would have ended up being a bigger sized position if we did keep pulling back, but that was not the case today. So checking in on ACB. Double bottom down at 8.15. This is now a very key support level, and we can say anything under 8.94 is a lower high. So the range from this dump and bounce day is the range that we're going to be watching next week. Bulls want to see a break of 8.45 to break the lower high each day pattern and to say that we have a double bottom and a bounce taking place. And we're anticipating ACB to form a tightening range within this current range for the next few days at least to start next week. The weekly time frame on ACB had that bear break with no follow through. So if we can see a daily lower, ideal scenario, what I want to see as an all cash position, no position in ACB, is a bull move to bounce to the 860s, set a lower high, pull back, form a higher low in the 820s or 830s, and then see a bull break. I would be interested in that bull break if we see an equilibrium form within this range into next week. APHA, bounce getting a bit more follow through, solid volume, close at the high of the day. Anything under 767 is just a daily lower high. So we still need a daily trend change. If we cannot break that level, we'll have to pull back and hold the low of 661. Keep in mind, we're looking for a monthly higher low on APHA as well. And while the bears have been in full control, we know that once that monthly higher low is formed, we can anticipate that there's going to be some solid gain opportunities as we look for this monthly tight to continue to tighten, or the monthly range to continue to tighten. But first things first, 767, most important. And if we have to pull back and form another daily high or low, we'll just have a tightening range to be watching here as well. The hourly time frame, did we change the trend? We did, just like CRON. Anything above 679 maintains the hourly higher lows. OGI, huge bull move today. There was a gap down at 892, and we didn't exactly fill that, but the bulls certainly didn't hesitate. We broke the low of yesterday by a couple pennies and then took off, breaking multiple resistance levels. Look at the pattern. Lower high every single day for 6 days in a row. We broke that pattern at 939, and we closed multiple percent higher. Very strong for those bulls. Have we changed the hourly trend? We have not. We're overextended. So I would be a bit cautious knowing that hourly consolidation is due sooner rather than later. The weekly time frame is just looking for a higher low to form. The exponential support was a rough visual target, and anything above 840 was a higher low, and it looks like that higher low is now set at 896, keeping in mind that anything on the daily chart under 1037 is just a lower high, and I would anticipate staying within this range for next week. I do anticipate daily tightening ranges on a lot of names, but we do want a little bit more bull follow through on names like ACB, on names like OGI, and again, it depends on SPY on Monday. HEXO, very notable weakness today. When you have the sector with that much strength and the market with strength overall, it's very odd that HEXO has a spike in bear volume and a close at the low of the day. So I looked at this chart and had to check with the chat room, what did I miss here? What's going on? And pretty much as far as we know, there's no news. We had some insiders selling some shares. That's potential downside. This kind of action makes me say, be prepared for some potential bearish news, because again, there's something up here to make this a very clear bearish correlation with everybody else. But it's the same pattern, lower highs every single day now, 9 days in a row. That pattern has to break for the bulls to try and form a weekly higher low. Still plenty of space to work with. Anything above 588 is a weekly higher low, but we have to change that pattern, and right now we're seeing a weak close at the low of the day. The hourly RSI, we'll keep an eye on it if it gets to oversold. Hourly RSI oversold for the first time coming off of a bull move. We already had a nice bull bounce, so it wouldn't be the first time, but it is worth watching for hourly RSI hitting oversold again because the weekly chart is in an uptrend. TRST, 750 was the low of the pullback. We had a weak bounce attempt. We broke 750, didn't get a whole lot of follow through. So the key resistance is the double top at 824. So we dropped down to a lower low, confirming the daily bear flag, but the lack of any follow through certainly catches our attention and has us now looking in the other direction. If we cannot break 824, I have no interest in TRST. If we can break 824, we're going to look for the weekly chart to bounce and set a lower high compared to 1024, but it will be the first clear shift of the daily momentum, or I should say the first meaningful shift since that 1024 recent resistance level rejected the price. But a lower low with no follow through and some solid bull volume, all about 824 double top of resistance. VFF bullish reaction to earnings, all about $13, which as you can see is now a triple top of resistance. That is the level that the bulls have to break to trigger some shorts covering, and we have a new hourly support level to be watching down at the afternoon consolidation low of 1231. Best case scenario for the bulls on Monday, hold 1231, break $13 convincingly. If we cannot break $13, we have to form a daily higher low compared to 1029. And looking at it on the weekly time frame, I would say we have our low, high of the bounce, which looks like a bear flag. The fact that we didn't drop to a lower low, we do not confirm the bear flag, and now the bulls are trying to shift that momentum again and get over 13. So keep an eye next week on VFF and $13, a very key resistance zone. TGOD saw a bear break of 390. Bullish reversal candlestick in response, but again, this is a red flag on the weekly little lower high and lower low. So that is a bit concerning for bulls. We still have a pattern where every single day is a lower high, 7 days in a row. On any bounce attempt, I would say pretty much anything under 463 is a daily lower high, and I would need a daily trend change from here to be meaningful with a weekly lower low and no follow through. But again, this is a scenario where I would wait for the bulls to prove it to me, because we are just looking at a lower high to form on any bounce attempt. And not many names broke their lows from the mid-April, and really the names that did, we can clearly specify as weaker as names that are still in uptrends. Very clear differences in a lot of names in both the Canadian and US MJ space. A lot of bearish names, a lot of bullish names, and it's important to distinguish between the two. VGW extraction play had the bear break yesterday with zero follow through, and now the bulls are trying to head back to resistance of 432. A break of 432 would certainly be meaningful. If we reject from 432 on Monday, we're going to watch for the inverse 4-hour head and shoulders pattern. I just like the clarity on this time frame. If we reject from 432, we need another higher low and then a break of those two resistances to shift the momentum back to the bulls. Solid bull volume today, but we need to see that break of 432 to be confident our weekly higher low is established. And if we can't break that 432, need that 4-hour healthy higher low to form. Labs, new all-time high today, but not a lot of follow-through, so we do have to be cautious. 652 was the level. We broke it by a couple percent, but we consolidated into the close. So it is an hourly equilibrium to be watching on Monday. High, our low, lower high is 655. So 655 and 670 are our resistances, and anything above, let's see, there's actually another little support in there. 617 and 605 are our supports. Look at the hourly exponential moving average support holding for multiple days, and we held that this morning and held it right at the end of the day. So a tightening hourly range to be watching on Monday. Break it bearish, we zoom out to the daily, and we look for a daily higher low to form. Anything above 533 is a healthy higher low, and if it breaks bullish, we're looking right back to that all-time high. Oils. Oils is trying to form its weekly higher low. And actually, it's just an inside bar, so we technically haven't started weekly consolidation yet. So we're looking for the bulls to shift this momentum, and we're going to look for a tightening range. Anything under 83 cents will just be a lower high, and the key support now is down at 55 cents. So we'll watch. Bulls want another day of follow through to get back in the middle of this range and give us the setup for a tightening range like a few of the other names we've looked at into next week. So another green day on a lot of these names would give us a lot more clarity that daily tightening ranges are likely for most of next week. CXXI is still weak for the bulls. We drop down to a lower low. We're breaking to lower lows by a couple pennies each time. We can say anything under 162 is just a lower high, and support now after 135. We're going to be looking down at 133 and a gap fill of 126. We have pulled back very significantly from the high with a bunch of red weeks in a row. We broke our key support of 141, so it's going to take a lot for these bulls to regain momentum in their favor, and we'll need a daily trend change, and that's not going to happen anytime soon. Best case for the bulls was to see a significant bull move, break some resistance levels, but we'll still need a higher low and higher high to confirm a trend change after that. And we'll wrap it up with KHRN south of the border, but it's a big bull day today. Very choppy daily chart. So I zoom out for clarity when we're choppy, and what I see is a weekly lower high and lower low pattern, and now we have a weekly higher low forming. So here was our low of 278, high of the bounce of 375, which was just a lower high. Here's our higher low of 287, and we need to see a bull break of 375 to change this weekly trend back in favor of the bulls. So a weekly tightening range is now forming, and this is going to be one to be watching for the rest of the month and potentially into early June, depending on how it plays out from here. So that's where we stand overall. Tons of importance on the S&P 500 into early next week. Lots of names with tightening ranges. I will look to play breaks of tightening ranges, looking to hold CRON as a swing trade for as long as I can, unless the S&P 500 starts to fall apart. I'll certainly lock in profit quicker, but I would like to give myself the opportunity to potentially see CRON set that monthly higher low. Again, it's such an undeveloped bounce at this point on such short-term time frames that the odds that this is our monthly higher low, we can't be confident on that at all. But I want to give myself a shot, which is why I established this trade game plan as I did earlier in the video. So I appreciate you watching. We'll do the USMJ video at some point tomorrow. Glad to be back, and we'll be back to the normal routine next week as well. Have a good weekend. See you soon. I'll be back with some videos of Colorado once I get them edited and such. Been hanging out in Rocky Mountain National Park where nobody's been around on the weekdays with a bunch of snow. So that's been fun. And now heading to Red Rocks. And that's that. See you soon. Low, high, higher, low, lower, high, higher, low, low, high, higher, low, lower, high, higher, low, low, high, higher, low, lower, high, higher, low, low, high, higher, low, lower, high. Sorry, I just blacked out.